first movie review for this channel, and the movie that I'll be talking to you guys about is The Letter Reader. It is directed by Sibusiso Khuzwayo, and it was officially released in 2019, and it got onto Netflix this year, so you can definitely check it out. It's on Netflix right now.
Ingane ikhaya nje walibona nje liphelele kini ngekhula ikusekhaya nje la ngane yami siyamsukulu wami awumsisa baba ungibhekelela umkhulu incwadi yakhe lapho nizobe usumfundela
lo mpolo omncane kanje uyaphaza ufunda.
So it basically follows the story of a 12-year-old boy Usiya who is sent to live with umakhulu wakhe in one of the villages in KZN by his parents because there's sort of like a rift between umchado wabazali bakhe, so they sent him to KZN. And, you know, Usiya being a city boy, he sort of like struggles in KZN to adapt in the KZN life, or like the way of life. And, you know, and he tries, but he really struggles. Until this one day, umakhulu wakhe is like, how about you read some of the letters for the people up at Lalin, you know, who can't read, who can't write. And so Usiya takes umakhulu wakhe up on that offer and starts reading letters for, you know, everybody that can't, some of the people that can't read and write in the village. And, you know, that's where the journey begins, Garcia. And, you know, these letters are just, you know, so warm and filled with just like cute moments. Until this one time, a young wife walks in, Unobuhle, and she has a letter from Umyenake, who is in the city of gold in Johannesburg. And as Usiya starts reading the letter, he realizes, no man, this is not the type of news that I usually read, you know. And so he just decides to lie, and he lies to Unobuhle about the content that's in the letter. And so there Unobuhle goes thinking Dobana umchado wami is still intact, umyena uyantanda, and all those sort of things, and I can't wait for him to come back, and he's gonna come back soon. And, you know, Unobuhle, you know, is in this journey of just counting days and waiting for Uyenake, while that is not, you know, the actual thing that's happening. And then Usiya now has to maintain the lie, and so he starts writing letters to Unobuhle pretending that they're from the husband. And so basically that's where the story begins, and I don't want to get into too much detail with you guys about it in case you haven't watched it. I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but that's basically where it gets tricky, you know, because he has to maintain the lie. So one of the things that I liked about the movie was definitely the storyline. I thought it was very fresh. It was very never been done before. I've never seen it done before. And, you know, it was also just done with so much care and so much thought, and you see it in how it's shot, you know, how the village is shot and how the village is shown. And it almost reads as sort of like this poetic ode to the village. And you see this because you almost feel like the village is another character in the movie, and it sort of like advances the storyline in the movie. And the other thing was also the layering in the movie. You know, there's like a story underneath the story, because at face value, yes, it's Usiya reading these letters to people who cannot read and cannot write in his village. But when you peel that off, or when you peel that layer off, there's this harsh reality of legacies. The legacies that apartheid and colonialism sort of like left on black people in the rural areas, inaccessibility to education being one of them. And it hits you in the face in this film because it's right there, you know, people cannot read and people that cannot write, and so they rely on somebody else to receive information that's in these letters. And I mean, like, we know like a letter is supposed to be a private thing, but here we are in people's business and finding out about what their husbands are thinking or what their husbands miss about them. And we are reading and we're experiencing these feelings with them where it should be a private thing. And so it really hits you in the face like that as much as this is such a heartwarming moment, but there's also like another side to it, another not so heartwarming side to it, which is these are the legacies, and these are the legacies that Black people in particular in this movie have faced. when it comes to colonialism and apartheid. And so, like, and also how it depicts these expectations that society sort of like has on womanhood, or like women who are married. And we see this in Umagasia when she gets home to Umamake, and Umamake gives her this speech about how she's supposed to behave, or how she's supposed to be as a woman who is married and has a child in a marriage, And we also see it in how Unobuhle sort of like tries to survive in a marriage, in a marriage that is loveless, but she's not away in a way, but she does all she can to survive, to make the marriage survive, or to make the marriage work. And also Umngani kaNobuhle, where they are in the river and they bayokha amanzi, and they have this conversation about like Mieni, who's in the city, and how they behave in the city, or how they change in the city, and Bona, they are just at home and trying to make things work, or trying to get the ikaya going. And it's just sort of those, it's just one of those things that are just like layers of that I picked up on the movie, that are just like underneath what is in front of us in the movie. And it's just one of the things that I really liked, and I think they were done in a smart way. The other thing that I liked about the movie was the scoring. I thought it was really, really well thought out, and it was this one constant type of scoring throughout the entire movie. And it almost reminded me of what they did in Moonlight, because also Moonlight had this one type of scoring throughout the entire movie. And with this one, the scoring and the pacing of the movie really went well together, because it gave you this feeling, or this poetic feeling, when you watch the shots of the village, and also just like how they shot, normal activities in the village, like mhlawumbe washing emlanjeni, and that pacing and that scoring and that activity. As much as I've done mhlawumbe washing so many times emlanjeni and ukamanzi so many times emlanjeni, but with this movie, it reflected back to me in such a very poetic and very fresh way, and I really liked what they did with that. One thing I'll say though about this movie is I would have loved to see a resolution for Onobuhle. I would have loved to see what she does when she gets inside the house with the letter, while Umienake is next to her, and maybe they will have a conversation about the initial letter and what was in the letter. But I guess Sibusiso wanted us to not know that part, because we have been in this people business for long enough. We have been reading their letters for long enough, and maybe that was not our business anymore. And I respect that, I really respect that. And yeah, man, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think it was brilliantly done. And if you haven't watched it, please do check it out on Netflix. The Letter Reader is streaming right now. And, comment in the section below if there are things that you noticed that I didn't talk about in this review. And let's have a dialogue about them. And until then, guys, I'll see you next week with another review of either a book or a movie. And yeah, please do share, comment, and hit the like button, man. Until then, bye, guys.